Hello, this is Mrs. Groves, and today we're going to discuss one of our algebra standards, and it's for functions. It's Function-C, writing linear functions. And I'm going to go through the review packet I posted on my website, and hopefully this video will help you be successful in meeting this standard called Function-C. The first element, which is does not meet, is given 2 points, find the slope of a line. And so the equation that you use to find slope given 2 points is y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. In the next example, I'm going to show you it doesn't matter what order you do the points in. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate the work that you must show. So you have to show the work, and you want to use slope is the variable m. Okay, so that's what it means. Label your calculation. Slope is the variable m. So, to find this, we've got the first point, and we'll label those coordinates x1, y1. The second point, x2, y2. And if we use this formula, it's very important that the y goes on top and the x goes on bottom. So, let's do this problem. So we're going to take y2 minus y1. So negative 11 minus negative 2. And then we're going to take x2 minus x1. So 0 minus 12. And make sure that you understand that you have to take the difference. These are the y's, these are the x's. Then I can simplify this, and I get negative 11. 2 negatives gives me a positive. 0 minus 12 is negative 12. So in the numerator, I'm getting negative 9 over negative 12. Now, you must, slope is the ratio, and it is telling you the steepness of a line. So you have to reduce this fraction, and you keep it as an improper fraction. So your final answer, remember the variables m equals a negative and a negative is a positive. 9 divided by 12, 3 goes into both of them. So 9 divided by 3, the numerator's 3. 12 divided by 3, the denominator's 4. And circle your final answer. The next problem I'm going to do with you, because I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter what order you do these points in. Okay? We naturally read from right to left. So, another way that you can look at this formula is change in y, the difference in the y's, and change in x. The order of the variables doesn't matter. So this is y1 and y2. So in this case, I have m equals, you always label your calculation, y1, so that is negative 2 minus 4, and then you have x1 and x2. So you have 5 minus negative 7, and negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. Right? This is going to become a positive. So 5 plus 7 is 12. We reduce it. So the slope here is m equals negative 1/2. Okay, so always reduce your fractions. And just as a reminder that if I have m equals negative 1/2, it doesn't matter where that negative goes. It can go on the outside. Negative 1/2 is the same thing as 1/2. These are all equal. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show you all the answers to all the problems here. And I'm just going to go through a couple of them to show you what work it is required to meet this standard. So that is level 1 does not meet. Okay. Level 2. Excuse me. Here we want to, now that we know how to find slope, we want to write the function of a line in slope-intercept form, given a point and the ordered pair for the y-intercept. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, where m equals slope and b equals the y-intercept. And the y-intercept, always remember that it is the point on the y-axis, so it's going to be the ordered pair 0, b. To write this equation in function form, you have to change the y to f of x. This is function form. So, the criteria for doing level 2, which is partially meets, is clearly show your work to find the slope using the correct variable notation. That is step 1. So the first step is to find the slope. And the way that I always find slope, because you naturally read from right to left, so I'm going to use negative 1 minus negative 4. For those of you that have been taught to subtract the second point from the first point, you're going to get the exact same answer. So you can do it your way or my way. We're both right. So I'm going to take my y-coordinates, negative 1 minus negative 4, negative 2 minus 0. So negative 1 minus a negative 4 is going to be negative 1 plus 4 over negative 2. So this is going to be 3 over negative 2. Okay, so my slope is -3/2. That's what they asked you to do first. So here they want you to find m equals. Next, identify the y-intercept using the correct variable notation. So the correct variable notation for the y-intercept is b equals. And remember I told you that we're really happy because this is going to be easy to write this equation in y equals mx plus b, because the y-intercept is 0, b. So the y-intercept is simply -4. So if you were going to put this into, slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b, all you need to do is substitute m, -3/2, and b is -4. But they want you to put it in function notation, which means f of x equals mx plus b. So that's easy. We just change that y to f of x equals -3/2x minus 4, and that is the equation of this linear function in slope-intercept form. So let's go one more step. Here we're given 2 points, one of them being the y-intercept. Now we're going to go to the next level. The meets. For the meets, we're going to do the exact same thing at the very beginning. Write the function of a line in slope-intercept form given 2 points. The only difference here is one of the points is not going to be the y-intercept. So, first step, just like before, clearly show work to find the slope using the correct variable notation. M equals. So, I want to find slope. 5 minus -5, -3 minus 2. If we have two negatives, that gives us a positive. So the numerator is 10. -3 divided by -2 is -5. So m is equal to -2, or you can write it -2/1. Both are correct. So you have found the slope. Okay. Now I have to find the y-intercept, b equals, and I have to write the linear function in slope-intercept form. Well, here I don't have the y-intercept. So I have to memorize a formula. The formula is the point-slope formula. And the point-slope formula is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Okay, where m equals slope, and a point has the coordinates x1, comma, y1. So I need this formula, and then I just pick one of these 2 points. And if you find that you think one of the points is going to be easier, then you pick the easier point. So you pick one of the 2 points. So I'm going to pick the first point, -3, 5. And that is x1. And that is y1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this equation. And notice this is y minus, okay, y1 is equal to 5. So I have the minus 5 equals my slope. My slope is -2. Parentheses x minus x1. So that means that x1 is equal to -3. So I'm going to just write this all out. So this is x1 and this is y1. And now that you know how you have this, okay, we're going to, this is in point slope, and now we're going to put it into slope-intercept. Right? So we have to simplify this. We have y minus 5. There's nothing to simplify on that side. -2, x, a negative and a negative is a positive, plus 3. We're going to distribute. We get y minus 5 equals -2x, -2 times x, -2 times 3, minus 6. And remember, we wanted into y equals mx plus b. All right, so we wanted in y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get y equals -2x minus 1. Now going back to our instructions, it asked us to clearly show the work. We've shown the work. Okay, the y-intercept, okay, clearly show work to find the y-intercept and use the correct variable notation. So the y-intercept is right here because we have y equals mx plus b. So the y-intercept is -1. And we have the equation in slope-intercept form, but it's not in function form. Function form means that it's going to be f of x. So here we wanted f of x equals mx plus b. So all we're doing is replacing the y with f of x equals -2x minus 1. And there is the equation in slope-intercept form for this linear function. So that's the meets. off to exceeds. The exceeds, given 2 points from 2 different functions, determine if the lines are parallel. Remember, the symbol for parallel is this. Perpendicular, or neither. And you have to justify your decision. All right. So what we have here are 2 functions. We have the f of x function, and we have the g of x function. We have 2 linear functions, and each function has 2 points. And we want to determine if these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we simply want to find the slope for the first function and the slope for the second function. And once we find those, you should write these rules down. When we find the slopes, parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. That means 1, the signs are opposites, and 2, so 1, the signs are opposites, the fractions are reciprocals. Right. This is actually one of the easier exceeds because you simply have to memorize these 2 definitions and then just find slope. All right, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my f of x function. And these are my 2 points for f of x. And I have to clearly show my work. So remember, it's change in y over change in x. So I take my y coordinates, I subtract them, 1 minus 5. I take my x coordinates, I subtract them, negative 3 minus 3. And so I get negative 4 over negative 6. And I can reduce this, so the slope of the first function is 2/3. Now I'm going to find the slope of the second function, the g of x. M equals, okay, remember, change in y over change in x. So the y's 6 minus 3, just like I read. The x's negative 2 minus 4. Okay. And here I'm going to get 3 over negative 6. So my slope reduced is negative 1/2. So I asked myself, are the slopes the same? No, they're not parallel. Are the slopes perpendicular? Well, they have opposite signs, but the numbers 2/3 and 1/2 are not reciprocals. So based on these two slopes, the answer is neither. So that's how you do the exceeds. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the answers to the other three parts. And okay, so the does not meets, we did the first two. The answers to 3 is undefined because you can't divide by 0, and the answer to 4 is 0. So this is the does not meets. For the partially meets, you find the slope, that's the Y-intercept, and here it is in function form. Okay. For the meets, here's the answer. Oh, let's see. Okay. Here is the answer to the meets. And if you don't like this method, memorizing the point slope form, then there's a second method that you can use, and I'll leave that up to you. Okay. And this can also be written f of x equals 0x minus 1. Okay. Well, that's the method I teach. I teach this first method. Use the method that you'll meet the standard on. And then for the exceeds, there's 2 more examples. So this is for the exceeds. I have one of each type. This one is perpendicular. These are opposite signs and reciprocals. And here is parallel lines. So practice these problems and get ready for your assessment on Function C. Good luck from Mrs. Groves.